Hey guys, me again. Um, from another place that brings me joy. I talked last time about finding a place that brings you peace and learning to utilize that properly. Uh, Nature, obviously, one of those for me, especially if I can get somewhere where there's a water element like the creek. I feel most at home when I have both water and earth around me. Um, but today I am actually recording from another one of the places I find peace, which for some people is a little bit of an odd one. Today I am at my local cemetery. Um, I've always found them to be peaceful places. Um, for me, they're very quiet. They allow you to really get inside your own head, which someone has reminded me recently how very important it is to get inside your own head, um, because it's where you do the most healing. It's where you do the most growing. Oh, the wind spirits are picking up. First, I had the random sunshine on a cloudy day. Now I'm getting the random gusts of wind out of nowhere. Kind of reminds me of home. Still very fitting with today's message. Um, so, last time, talked a lot about some things I had on my mind. Some stuff that was brought up by talking to an old friend. Today's message, kind of the same deal. Um, the last couple of days have been a little bit of a roller coaster emotionally, and quite a few things have been kind of brought to the light. Um, we, in our heads, every day, most of us have a million thoughts going on. And most of us only have the capacity to deal with a few of them at a time. So the ones that we have that we either don't have time to deal with or refuse to deal with often get put back in our brains, back to the dark recesses where we don't pay a whole lot of attention to. And for a lot of people, when they lay down at night, that's where they find the hardest time to quiet their mind, because all those thoughts that you push back all day all decide they're going to come right to the foreground. Guess what? You've been ignoring us all day. Well, you're going to deal with us now. So I have become a very firm believer, because this guy's used to cause me insomnia like crazy. And if I often catch myself slipping and not dealing with my stuff as it comes, um, I notice my insomnia gets worse. And I lay down at the end of the night and my brain just overloads and I can't sleep. To save my life, could take melatonin, could take sleeping aid, it doesn't matter. Still can't sleep because my brain has decided we're going to deal with this. So, in order to avoid that, so that I can quit having so much problems with sleeping, um, I'm learning to deal more with my emotions as they come. Um, I myself had a very rocky dream last night. Um, when I dream, I often dream vividly. I know quite a bit of people that do. Um, and this dream brought up a lot of emotions for me. Brought up a lot of old physical pain um, and mental torment that I've dealt with. And it shook me a little, y'all. And then today I found out that one of my old bosses, a woman I was very fond of, she taught me a lot. She was one of my bosses in my early 20s. She passed away. She finally lost her battle with cancer. Um, this also brings up other emotions for me. My mom has been fighting her own battle for about 6 years now. She is doing well. Some days are better than others, but my mom's always been a fighter. That's where I get it from. And so when I found out, naturally it broke my heart. She's got kids and a new grandbaby. And I know how much she was looking forward to that grandbaby. To know that she held on long enough to get to see this baby, to get to spend at least a little bit of time with this baby, brings me a little bit of comfort, because family was everything to her. Everything to her. And I very much mirror that. My family is everything to me. My mom's battle has been rough, but to watch her go through it, it makes me so proud of her. My father is a fighter too. My dad almost lost his life when I was pregnant with my daughter, my youngest, and I almost lost him. And that was maybe 5 years or so after I lost his father, my grandfather, which is probably the hardest death I have personally had to deal with. Losing a grandfather is rough. I have another friend who the anniversary of her grandfather's death just hit. And it's only been a year. And my heart bleeds for her, because I know what it still felt like a year after his death. That loss is devastating. It is life altering for some. I guess it really just depends on how close you are with the person that passes. But loss is never easy. Oftentimes loss is one of the things people most often refuse to deal with. And it can have the most devastating consequences. It literally stunts your growth spiritually. It stunts your growth emotionally. It makes it harder to make connections. And what we oftentimes lose sight of is that these changes, these negative changes that occur when we don't deal with losing a loved one, or with a loss of any kind really, is that our loved ones don't want that for us. Us still suffering because they're not here is not what they want. Those that loved us want us to be happy. And at the end of the day, the best way that we can honor those that are no longer with us is to do our best to live the life that they no longer have. Because to stunt your growth, to close down emotionally, you're only living half of your life. And to dishonor those that loved us by not living the life we still have to its fullest potential is something I wish more people understood. I just grabbed a hold of my necklace. This piece is actually a piece I was given recently. It belonged to a woman I knew in my teen years. Her granddaughter and I were best friends in high school. We ran in the same circles. I had sleepovers at this woman's house regularly when I was a teen. She passed away about a year ago, and her kids were cleaning some stuff out, and one of her daughters, who's my mom's best friend as well, thought of me when she saw this piece, because turtles are my favorite animal. They're my totem, my spirit animal. And I'm from the South. I love turquoise and silver. It reminds me very much of home. Been quite homesick lately. I have family still in the South. I know I don't sound like I'm from the South. The people that are closer to me will often notice occasionally my accent slips out. Just depends on how fired up I am or what I'm talking about, maybe. But there's been a lot of homesick going on there, a lot of missing of family that I'm separated from. I feel like Not only am I missing out on a lot of what's going on with them, they're missing out on a lot of what's going on with my kids. Um, Having, a lot of distance between family sucks. It really does. But that's a subject for another time. The other thing I wanted to talk about with loss is a lot of times we don't think about loss being, say, the loss of a relationship. Losing a relationship is a lot like losing a loved one to death, because it's the death of your hopes and your dreams with that person. It's the death of the future you thought you would have with them. It's the loss of what would be, because we oftentimes get in our head what we think our lives are going to be like, more often than not forgetting that life doesn't go as planned, you guys. I can promise you, my life, nothing like I planned. Nothing. Good, bad, and in between. The bad shit that's happened to me, definitely not part of the plan. But at the same time, I'm thankful for it, because the rough shit I've been through has made me into who I am. And I can't regret that. I can't regret who I am as a person. It's also given me the ability to help some people along my path as I've gone through the journey of life. And I'm thankful that I had the knowledge, because of my own past traumas and my own experiences, to be able to help someone in a way that maybe someone else wouldn't have been able to help them. We oftentimes bitch and complain about things not going our way, or life not turning out like we planned, or we mourn it like the death of a loved one, because it's still loss, you guys. It's still things not being the way you dreamed they would be. And that's something that we need to deal with. That's not something that you can just let sit and fester. It's toxic. Just like I was talking about in my last video, it's toxic to let that shit sit. And you're doing yourself a disjustice and a disservice by not forcing yourself to process those emotions. I know so many people who refuse to process the way they feel. And I see the slow decay of the person I know that they can be when they're at their optimal level, when they are their prime selves. I watch that slowly disappear, and it makes me reflect back to when I was doing the same thing. And even in my own head, I can see the decline in myself, and I can watch through my mind's eyes the person I know I can be, the person I feel like I'm closest to right now, closer than I've been in a long time. I watched that person just die and wither slowly. Because what we don't understand is when we don't deal with loss, we start to lose ourselves. We start to lose who we're supposed to be. And that, my friends, is the biggest loss of all. So we have to process whatever your process is. Hell, you may not even know what your process is, especially if you're someone who has been refusing to deal with something for a long time. For me, it's nature, or it's getting active. That's a recent thing for me. I was never a gym rat, never big on exercise. Most of my weight loss was through proper dieting and, watching what I put into my system and working 2 jobs with 2 small kids. I didn't have time for the gym, but I started going this year. At the beginning of this year, before all this COVID nonsense hit, everything shut down, and I found that it wasn't about physicality for me. It was about the mental aspect of it. And I learned that it was a way for me to process. Did it do my body good to learn to mentally process that way? Sure. But that's not what I was there for. That's not why I went. That's not why I was going 5 times a week. It was me using it to work through my shit. Because I'm a very firm believer in owning your own shit. Nobody's perfect. You guys, nobody is fucking perfect. But there is a perfect version of yourself to you. And when you don't own up to your own shit, you don't grow. You don't learn. When you don't own your own shit, you start blaming it on everyone else. And that's toxic narcissistic behavior. Ain't nobody got time for that. I can't tell you how many relationships I've been in where my partner displayed that kind of behavior. Refusing to deal with anything. Nothing was ever their fault. And everyone else was to blame. And this is why they should be pitied. No. Stop that. Telling you right now, if you're in a relationship with someone like that, I'd reevaluate your relationship. Because I can tell you from experience, over years worth of, we'll call it research, that is one of the most toxic relationships you can be in. It is something that will absolutely start affecting you over time if it hasn't already. And these are the kind of people that don't deserve the kind of energy you're going to put into a relationship. When kids are little and they throw temper tantrums and hissy fits, any good parent will tell you the best thing you can do is not feed into that shit. Is to not give in. Don't give them what they want. So why the hell is it that as adults, when our partners display habits like this, hissy fits, tantrums, petty jealousy issues, anger issues, why is it we reward them with comforting words and gestures to show our love and with going above and beyond to prove to them that it's okay, we're still here? All that does is reinforce the idea that it's okay for them to act like that. And then they still get what they want. They still get you. They still get treated with all the love and care that you give them. They win. They threw a hissy fit and got rewarded. This shouldn't be any more okay for adults than it is for children. And it's not okay for children. So stop doing that. It's not worth your time. It's not worth the energy. It's not worth the years some of us will sink into relationships that do not positively benefit us in any way, shape, or form. Stop. Don't do that to yourself. Don't put all that love into something that isn't going to give it back. Because people that behave that way, they don't return the same kind of love you give them. They never return the same kind of love you give them. And that's not okay. And oftentimes we make excuses. We say, oh, well, they're this way because X, Y, and Z. Their mommy didn't love them enough. They had a hard childhood. you know, their ex cheated on them. Those are all really shitty things. I'll give you that. Those are all really shitty things. And it sucks that anybody has to deal with that. Nobody should have to deal with feeling like they're not loved or with feeling like they've been abandoned, because it creates all these problems. But it's not an excuse, you guys. I could literally tell stories that make people shudder. And I've had people look at me like, how the hell did you survive that? My life has had some really dark moments, you guys. And some of you know this, and some of you can't even begin to imagine the evils I've seen or dealt with, and the ways that I've let it affect my life. But at some point, you have to grit your teeth, rub it on your chest, and say, that's enough. I am done letting what has happened to me be who I am. You don't have to let what you've gone through define you in a negative sense. You can use it to strengthen who you are as a person, but you do not have to let it drive your life. You do not have to let it ruin your life. Because if you don't deal with your past trauma, if you don't process and learn to be okay with who you are as a person. Now, does that mean you have to forgive those who have royally screwed you over? Yes and no. Okay? The best advice I have for that is forgiveness is not for those you're forgiving. It's for yourself. I myself had to learn this lesson the hard way and had to forgive someone who abused me and manipulated me in my past. And that sense of relief when you finally realize that it's not about them. It's about refusing to let their toxic bullshit poison your life. The ability to let go is 10 times easier. And the ability to actually heal like you should heal is 100 times easier, because it makes you realize more of your own self-worth. It makes you see that you're the one worth forgiving, and that forgiving is not forgetting. And I know it's cheesy, cliche as hell, right? But it's true. Cliches are cliches for a reason, you guys. Don't hold yourself back because you refuse to let go of what's dragging you down in the past. Your past is not meant to be an anchor. Your past is meant to be stepping stones. Your past is meant to guide you to where you're supposed to be. Now, if you are in a place where you are dark and you don't see the light, keep going. Because there is always light. You just have to find it. And if that means calling for help in the dark, then do that. Don't think that you're alone. There's always someone. They're willing to reach out a hand in the dark and help pull you back into the light. There's no need to stay where you are if you're not happy there. If you're not happy where you currently are in life, you are the only one that has the power to change that. So do it. Quit making excuses for yourself. Quit saying I can't. Realize that saying I can't is the same thing as saying I don't want to. Because you can. And you would be amazed at what happens when you remove the words can't from your vocabulary. You can. You can be better. You can have better. You deserve better. Life is about growing, you guys. What happens to plants when they stop growing? It's when they start dying. We as humans are never supposed to stop growing. We are supposed to continue to reach for the light, just like plants do. And on dark and cloudy days, we just wait it out. But we also need to remember dark and cloudy days bring the rain, and without the rain, there's no growth either. You need both. You need the clouds to provide you with the lessons, the rain, the lessons, so that you can absorb that. And then you need to keep reaching for the light so you can grow. We're no different, you guys. It's the same thing. So remember to give yourself the chance to grow. All right, guys? Talk to you later. Bye.